Hello everyone, welcome to English Literature. Today we have the second poem from the book Flamingo. Today's poem is Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda. It's time to read about the poet. Pablo Neruda's pen name of Ricardo Eliseo Neftali Reyes Basso Alto. He was born on 12th July 1904, Parral, Chile. He died on 23rd September 1973, Santiago, Chile. Neruda's poems are full of easily understood images. Poems cover the themes of love, nature, politics, and personal experience. Some of his famous works are 20 Love Poems and a Song of Despair, 100 Love Sonnets, The Poetry of Pablo Neruda, Canto General, Memoirs. Memoirs is an autobiography of Neruda. It's about him. Some of the awards received. He got the Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1971, International Peace Prize in the year 1950, and Stalin Peace Prize in the year 1953. That's all about the poet. Let's see the introduction part. The poem Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda was written in 1950s and published posthumously in 1974. Posthumously is after any work published after the death of the author or the poet or the person who writes it. In this poem, Neruda talks about the necessity of quiet introspection and creating a feeling of mutual understanding among human beings to achieve a state of peacefulness through stillness. The poet here urges humans to stop all their daily activities and think of the impact one's actions bring, especially on the environment, which includes the animals, plants, and human. He suggests that this reflection will help humans understand the value of one another and lead to harmonious existence. Let us look at the theme. The poem Keeping Quiet revolves around the necessity of introspection, that is self-analysis, peace, and unity achieved through a temporary cessation of activity. So, a temporary stoppage to all our actions. Some of the themes that the poem covers are the necessity of introspection, peace, and unity, which can be achieved through a temporary cessation of activity. The poet helps us to reflect on our actions and decide who is to be blamed for the results. This will lead to clear understanding and promote universal peace and brotherhood. Let's read the poem. Keeping Quiet, Pablo Neruda. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing. Perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. Now let us read the poem once again and look at what the poet wants to convey. So keeping quiet is literally keeping quiet, that is not making any noise, or it has a deeper meaning. Let us read and try to find out. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. In this part of the poem, we see the poet says, we will count to 12. Now this 12 has a deeper meaning. It might mean counting the hours in a day, or it might mean the 12 months in a year. So the poet here says, let us count and keep still. Keeping still is without any movement. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. So here the poet says, for once on the face, that is on the surface of earth, all the human, those who are there, he urges, do not speak in a language, that is maintain silence. Do not stop, let us stop for once again, do not do anything. So let us not speak any language, let us stop for 1 second. So let us keep quiet, keep silence and not move our arms, or not move arms can also mean weapon or limb. So he says keep still, do not move, be silent, no need to use anything. Let us keep quiet and think. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines, and we would all be together in a sudden strangeness. So it would be an exotic moment. It would be great, a unique, unusual moment. There will be no rush. Without engines, we would all be together in a sudden strangeness. So there is no movement, no vehicle on the streets. You find complete silence. It is quiet. And all of a sudden you feel strange. And we will be together in that strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Again, he says, fishermen who were working there in the cold sea, that is fishermen who are cold, will not harm whales. Whales in the sense animals. So people will not harm animals anymore. And the men gathering salt, those who are working, they will look at their hurt hands. They will introspect. They will analyze themselves. They will look at the actions and the consequences of the actions. They work, and what has it done to them? They destroy animals, plants. What has it done to them? So they will keep silence and they will think of the number of things that they have done. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. So keep quiet, silent. For once on the face of the earth, Let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engine. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. So the poet continues to say, those who prepare green wars, that is, those who are doing work, destroying nature, harming trees, burning with gas, creating pollution, destroying, victory with no survivors. They may earn monetary gain, but who will enjoy? There will be no one to enjoy the fruits of success. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes. People will bring a change in their attitude. They will bring a change within themselves and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. So they will forget all enmity. They will not choose violence. They will reject violence. Together they will walk like brothers, promoting universal brotherhood. The poet says repeatedly, wait, halt, think. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. He further clarifies himself. He says that when I say stop, count to 12, keep still, that doesn't mean that you will do nothing. So don't get confused. It doesn't mean you will put a stop to your life. It doesn't mean so. It has a far greater meaning. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with brothers in the shade doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So the poet says, life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. So the feeling is life. There is no association with death. You should live and you should let others live. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt the sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. He goes on to say that you should not think of death or total inactivity, silence, pause, stoppage. No, you should think of life. You should learn to love life. And continues with the idea of life, saying, if we were not so single-minded, so if not keeping your life in front of your eyes but thinking of others, if you just take time and think about others instead of focusing solely on yourself, perhaps a huge silence, and you take some time to introspect, reflect on your actions, then you will not be so sad. Perhaps that will end your sadness of never understanding ourselves and threatening ourselves with death. in the whole stanza he said maybe this reflection, introspection will help you think, analyze your actions, will help you fall in love with life, and the things, the rejections that you have, you will accept them. It is very important that you take a little pause and understand life. Perhaps the earth can teach us. He further continues to say, you should learn from earth. Earth is personified here. He said you should learn from earth. Earth can teach you many things. For example, if we take winter there is no activity, there are no leaves, no nothing. That doesn't mean the earth is quiet. It is preparing itself for spring. Similarly, if you go for germination of a seed, the roots continue their work. Maybe you don't see the plant all of a sudden. Slowly you will see it. Similarly, winter, the tree, maybe you see a dry branch. That doesn't mean it is dead. The roots are alive. So you should learn from it. You should just take pause and wait. Think on your actions. Introspect so that you can do good. The poet urges us to live life, forget death. Death is inevitable. You should live life, let others live. Think. Be a living soul. Introspect, self-analyze. Last two lines you can see, he says, now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. He says, now okay, I have told you to introspect, to reflect on your actions, but now it is time for me to do the same. I need some time, so I will count up to 12 and I will keep still and I will think on my actions. What I have done, what I'll have to do, I will think of all those things. In the whole poem, the poet has asked for one single thing, to take pause from your daily activities. That is not death. He says you live, don't kill everything. You live, but take a little pause. Halt, think, self-analyze. Harm nobody, promote life. You live happily, let others live happily. Save your environment, animals, plants, everything. It is only possible when you take time and think. He urges everybody to think. At the end, he says it is time for him to think. He acts as a guide. That is about the poem. Some of the meanings. Still is motionless or silent or quiet. Exotic is exceptional or unusual or strange. Green wars is the conflict that harm nature and the environment. To have no truck with death means to refuse to associate with or deal with or to tolerate something. Threaten is to terrorize or intimidate. Let's see some of the literary devices used in the poem. Let's start with the rhyming pattern. The poem is written in free verse or blank verse. It follows no particular rhyming pattern. Alliteration, we have a repetition of a consonant sound. For example, we will count, you see the W gets repeated, W sound. Sudden strangeness, the S or the S sound. His, her, hands, the H sound. Clean clothes, the C or the K sound gets repeated. And repetition, where you get a phrase or a word used many number of times in consecutive stanzas or even lines. For example, without rush, without engines, wars with gas, wars with fire. You see, without, wars, these things get repeated. Personification, earth is personified where it says earth can teach us. Enjambment, many sentences here they continue to multiple lines without any pause at the end of a line. These literary devices, the definition and all, they have been discussed prior to the other chapters dealt with. You have already seen the definitions. So here we just have examples. If you want to know about the definitions and all, you can always refer the previous videos. So enjambment here you have where a sentence continues to the next line without any pause or kind of punctuation at the end of the line. You have many examples. For example, here twos are there. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. See, 12, it continues to the next line and there is no pause. Are once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. See, after earth, it straight away jumps to the next line. Similar examples are in plenty in the poem. Symbolism, a word or a thing, it symbolizes or presents something, greater meaning. For example, brothers here refers to mankind. Green wars, they refer to deforestation. Wars with gas, pollution. Clean clothes, a change of perspective or attitude. Shade represents protection. We all count to 12. Here 12 has a very deep meaning. 12 could be 12 hours of a day, the whole day, or could be 12 months of the year. So as we saw in case of symbolism, where an object or a situation, they represent something beyond the literal meaning. Here we have antithesis. It is the juxtaposition of two contrasting ideas. For example, count to 12 and we will all keep still. See, counting and keeping still, both are contradictory. Two contrasting activities are put together. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. Here see again two phrases contrast, highlighting the opposition between the two concepts, is life and death. You can take examples like to err is human, to forgive divine. Here also ideas are placed in parallel structure to highlight the difference. Now we have metaphor. The act of keeping quiet is a metaphor. That means to take a pause from daily activities and introspect. So keeping quiet literally it doesn't mean that you have to put a finger on your lips or zip your lips. No, it means you have to take a pause from your daily activities and introspect or self-analyze. Next we have anaphora. It is the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of successive phrases or sentences to create emphasis. For example, from the poem you have these lines. Let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second. See, let's get repeated. This word, the phrase let us, let's not, let's stop, these get repeated. So that is anaphora. Assonance, it is repetition of vowel sound. Victory with no survivor. See, the sound of O gets repeated. Now let us go for imagery. It is using descriptive language to create a vivid or a clear picture in the reader's mind. As you read, you must be able to visualize the things in front of you. For example, fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales. Here you can imagine, okay, you are sitting there and you can visualize in front of you fishermen, they are working and maybe they are out on fishing and they are not harming any animal, they are standing there silent. Man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands, or would put on clean clothes, men would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade. You can feel everybody together walking in the shade, walking unitedly. Next is irony. It is nothing but there is a contrast between reality and expectation. You expect something but something different happens. For example, in this poem, victory with no survivors is ironic, as one earns victory while losing everything. If you are victorious, you have to have someone to enjoy the success. But if the victory is at a cost of everybody's life, there is no use of it. So what is the victory with no survivors? This is ironic. Transferred epithet. It is an adjective which usually describes one thing but is transferred to another. For example, fishermen in the cold sea. In the above example, the cold sea is an example of transferred epithet. Why? Because the adjective cold is not describing the sea. It is not the sea that is cold, rather the fishermen who work it. It is said about the fishermen. Interesting example you can take, for example, the weary road or the tired road. It is not the road which is tired. The person who walks on the road or who is using the road. It is about a person who is tired. How can a road get tired? So see, the weary road or the tired road. That's a brilliant example of transferred epithet. Next we have pun. It is a play with words that sound similar but has different meanings. For example, we not move our arms so much. Here arms, it can mean weapons, or it can also stand for limbs. Pun is nothing but word play. If you want explanations in detail, you can use a comment section. Thank you for watching the video. Use comment section to post your ideas.